Yeah, you, come here. Reading is fundamental. I don't care how you guys bop it, weave it, twist it. Reading is fundamental, and here's some books that's gonna get you hooked, guaranteed. Alright, the first book that we stumbled upon is The Uglies, which is actually part of a series. I love this series to death. I started reading this series in sophomore year of high school, and I adore this series because a little synopsis is basically about how do you say it? Ethiopian, if that's the word, Ethiopian society where people are obsessed with looks. Like if you think plastic surgery is bad now, baby, they take it to 100 in this book. And there's this girl who figures out the dark secret to these changes of what makes them pretties. And it continues from book 1 to Uglies, book 2 to Pretties, book 3 to Specials, book 4 to Extras, and I think there's another book coming out called Imposters. I don't know when it's coming out, but we'll see. But this is a good series that some of you guys might have started reading in high school, but who knows. Next up we have This Is What It Feels Like. The first time I went in my school's library, a couple of times that I went in my school's library, this book completely slipped my mind, but the minute I found it, it was heaven. And this was actually a good lifesaver because I got this when the pandemic has started, and I started doing that transition from being into school to doing online school. So this book was definitely helpful of getting me to read and stuff because I missed the school library. Out of everything in school I missed the library, and then it was my friends. No offense. But this book is really good, and it's about 3 friends who got separated after a whole bunch of basically life happened to them, and then they came together when this concert came, and I highly recommend this book. It's really good. Another series book, Cinder. There's 6 books in this series. It's Cinder, Scarlet, Crest, Wither, and Lavina. I'm on Crest right now. Crest is the thicker of the books. It's the longest of the book, but Cinder, the series, the Lunar Chronicles, that's what the series is called overall, is really good, and it's a futuristic version of Cinderella with a couple of characters added in, and I highly recommend this one. Plus the artwork is really good in these books. Like if you look at the artwork right here, you see the metallic on that shoe? You see the metallic on the shoe? You see the metallic on the shoe? It's good, right? It's good. Next up, this is sort of like a tween book for all my girlies out there. Tween girlies, listen up. You need to read this book called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A diary book basically, and I resonated with this so much because I have a diary myself. 10 years worth of writing I've done in my diary. 10 years. I've been writing in a diary since 7, and this girl talks about problems that any tween girl or just like early teen girl goes through, and this is a good starter book that most moms or aunts might get their nieces and daughters basically. Next up, The Red Pyramid. I don't have the cover to this. Don't judge me. I took the cover off because I didn't really find the importance of covers, but now I do. I grew up. Don't judge me. But The Red Pyramid, which is part of the Kane Chronicles, so again, you can count this as another series, but this is my favorite of the books. I tried to read The Pyramid of Fire, and it just wasn't working. I don't know whether or not it was the font stuff because the font was huge, and the font in this is like, hold up, I'm just gonna show you the font. The font is relatively small here, but the font that was in The Throne of Fire was like big, and I didn't like it. So this book, if you want to get started with a series when you're a tween, then I suggest this book because one, it's not too long. This book I think has more pages than The Throne of Fire, and the Serpent one, I forgot the name. I think it's Serpent Shadow, which is the 3rd book, but this is a good series to start off for a tween. Next up, we got Girl in Pieces. This is recommended for teens and young adults because there's a lot of cuss words in this. I did not expect that many cuss words and the stuff that they would be saying. And also it deals with like self-harm and suicide and all that stuff. But this is a good book that I actually got from Amazon. Amazon, you came in clutch this time because I never really thought that getting books from Amazon would be a good idea considering the fact that I mostly get a bunch of random stuff, not books, but they came in clutch this time. And this is about a girl who had sort of a bad past, you know, neglectful parents. One of the parents I think died. She was in a house, like a brothel house at one point, and she came to this hospital after experiencing self-cutting. Then after she got out of the hospital, she experienced real life outside of it, and she's trying to adjust her life after everything that's happened to her. Really good book. And lastly, Elijah Buxton. This book is the most underrated of Christopher Paul Curtis's books. Now, you guys know these 2 books, Bud Not Buddy and The Watches Go to Birmingham. Don't get me wrong, I love these 2 books, but unpopular opinion, these 2 books are overrated as heck compared to Elijah Buxton. And this book deals with another part of history, just like, I think, yeah, all of his books contribute to parts in history. Obviously, Bud Not Buddy dealt with the Great Depression. The Watches Go to Birmingham dealt with a specific tragedy that happened during the Civil Rights Movement, but this goes back to slavery. It deals with a boy who was tasked with, I think, getting a girl back from another slave family. I don't know. I think it has something to do with the Underground Railroad. I forgot. It's been so long since I read this book that this is really, really good. And it actually was my favorite because my brother is actually named Elijah. Shout out to you, bro. But this is why I love that book so much, because it reminded me of my brother, because he's very courageous and stuff. First book of which I don't have is The Road to Paris. I want to say that I read this book back when I was in, I don't know, I want to say middle school, but this book is so good. It deals with a girl who has been struggling with, her mother's basically neglectful, and she and her brother actually escaped from their foster home because they were being mean to them, and then, well, being abusive. Then they went to their grandmother's, to where they were separated. Paris was sent off into another foster family, which she didn't like, but overall, over the seasons, because it goes through Christmas, it goes through Halloween, it goes through Valentine's Day, she goes to live with them and she starts to get a gradual bond, while also dealing with racial tensions because her best friend's father is a racist. But then at the end of it, she gets a call from her mother saying, yo,
I got my life back together. Want to come live with me? And bring your brother too.
And then she decides to go with them. This book is a true coming of age story and also deals with adoption, neglectful homes, abusive foster families, racial tensions because of her mixed heritage, because I think she was mixed because she was a black girl with blonde hair, so I think that she was mixed, or she just had like a rare hair type, I don't know, but overall it's really good. Another middle school classic is Al Capone Does My Shirts. When I first read this book, I was thinking, what? Like, I've heard of Al Capone, like the notorious gangster that was centered around in Chicago, responsible for the massacre. Yeah, I knew about him, but I didn't think that they would make a book centered around Alcatraz, which is the prison that he eventually went to. But it's an interesting book. It deals with disabilities because the main character's sister is disabled. It is exciting, it's adventurous, and a whole bunch of things together, but the title is it'll get kids looking up a quick couple of Google searches to look up the place and who Al Capone is. I'm just saying. Girl, this is a series that all little girls around the world, bars, should read. Sugar Plum Fairies, shoot, I messed it up. Sugar Plum Ballerinas, baby. This book series was the ish. It still is. And every time that I went into the library in elementary school, I would always pick this book. You want to know why? Because it deals with dancing, ballerina, save the world. Well, not save the world type stuff, but girl power, basically. And this actually came in clutch because around that time I started to get into dance, and I would look at these books and think, wow, these are girls that are like me. They dance and stuff. And the main characters, because each book centers around one of the main characters that's in, I forgot the name of the dance school, but the teacher, she has a French accent and all that other stuff, called The Class. It Begins. It's a classic. And for any girls who haven't read it, read them now. Interesting book, The Chalkbox Kid. I read this book in, I think, third grade. Yeah, third grade. And this book was a new introduction to me because I wasn't really, because you know how they try to recycle books and stuff that's part of the reading curriculum based on the grades. Like, there's Bud Not Buddy, then you read you read Bud Not Buddy, you read The Watsons Go to Birmingham, you sometimes read The Hunger Games and all that stuff. They have designated books, and especially in high school when you read a whole lot of Shakespeare, which was interesting to say the least, but again, that's a story that's not going to be covered. Anyways, The Chalkbox Kid. Interesting story that got me thinking, dang, what would happen if you found an abandoned chalk factory or any type of factory behind your house? A mystery of what happened to it, and then you ended up inheriting the company and becoming a millionaire at that age. It's pretty cool. This is another series. Yeah, this is another series that is widely, well, it has a lot of controversial topics. Like, it talks about teen pregnancy, dating, violence, and stuff like that. But why was I reading that when I was in 7th grade? I was reading that in middle school. So I was somewhat close to high school, but not really. This book series is really meant for high school students. It's the Blueprint series. 22 books in all. They came out with 2 different books. One of them was focused on a character that, Darcy Willis' sister, try to protect. Like, Angel, yeah, her name is Angel. And then there was another book based on Darcy Willis called The Chosen Witch. I don't know why she's getting another book series. Like, how long has this girl been in high school? Literally, like, counting that book, I think it's 6 books out of the 22 books that she's been a part of. And I'm just like, girl, when you gonna go to college? When you gonna go to college? When we gonna get some spotlight on your sister? Because she gets the bad end of the stick. I'll say that when it comes to her sister, and her entire family. But anyways, really good series, and touches on a lot of topics that many young people, and, well, young people, teens should know. I put this on the binge worthy line because you need to wait until the end for it to happen, and it takes so freaking long. It's called My Brother Sam Is Dead. It takes so long for this man to die, and I know that's messed up to say, but it really takes forever for this man to die. Literally everybody around him was dying except for him. Follows the tale of around the American Revolution. Actually, this is a boy who has a brother who wants to go into war. He gets stopped and ridiculed by his father and all that stuff, and then at the end, you guessed it, he ends up dead. It's not a spoiler because they said it at the beginning of the book, so it's technically not me spoiling it. I said this as an interesting book because you need to read it all the way through in order for, I want to say, yeah, the magic to happen, and that's why it's on this list. If that didn't happen, then this wouldn't be on that list, because that Sam is just I really don't like that character. And last but not least, which is also part of the But Not Buddy series, The Mighty Miss Malone. Yeah, that little girl that was washing dishes with him. If you guys read the book, yeah, The Mighty Miss Malone. A girl, well, of course this is set into the Great Depression, but her father actually traveled out to seek work, and her mother and her brother actually followed them. She's also a gifted writer, and she also has, this is when I started to this is when I started to relate to Deezer, because she would be all up in her head too. Like, she said that she would have two different brains, and that she has a brain that talks a little bit too much for her own good. And I relate to that because I'm the same way. Like, I have two different minds. One mindset is focused on the person while the other is set into space. I know it's bad, but when I'm all up in my head, it could be a good thing because I have a whole lot of ideas that I generate, but it could be a bad thing because I'm not paying attention to what's in front of me. Anyway, that was a good book, and I actually found that book more, I found that book more entertaining, which I read in the 5th grade, by the way. More entertaining than But Not Buddy. I'm just saying. Thank you guys for watching and listening to my recommendations. Like I said at the beginning of the video, reading is fundamental. Crack open a book and get some reading. Either you could take my recommendations, or you could just find your own books that you like to read. But this is just some starters for all different age groups, because when it comes to age groups, it's interesting because, of course, not everybody fits the age group. Like, look, most young adults can't read young adult books, but most kids, like my age or even younger, can read more advanced books because of the literature, but it all depends on you. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one, which is literally going to be on July 14th. I know, I'm on the grind, but I'll see you then. Bye, guys.